Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. This is amazingly episode 9 and today I'm talking to Steve Spiking and Chris Horton. Firstly, to open the show, here's a track by Eleanor and the Lost. This was recommended to me by Steve Ballard and it's called The Calling.
Hidden in the dark, waiting for a dream. Everything I want, everything I've seen. Working for my soul, searching for the light. Following my heart, reaching for the sky. It's not an easy path, but I know it chose me. I can't just run away from the very thing I need. There's something here that yearns, and something more that drives. When everything is gone, my dream will stay alive.
Calling there from Eleanor and the Lost. You can find more information about them on Facebook, which is at Eleanor and the Lost, or obviously on the website www.suttonpodcast.co.uk, and they've got some more work coming out later on in the year, some new material, and hopefully we'll get our hands on that when that comes out. Now for my first guest, here's Steve Spiking. Steve, how are you this evening?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Long day at work, just got home, so ready to chill, really.
Excellent, lovely. Well, we'll get a few minutes of your time before you chill. Just so people know who you are, obviously you know a few people through the various social medias and you've met a few of us at matches and so on, but just so people know who you are, introduce yourself, tell us, who are you?
Well, my name's Steve from Epsom, 24. Just moved jobs actually, currently at Surrey Stills. I've been supporting Sutton for 4 years, been to all the FA Cup games last year, got with a really good bunch of guys. It must have been about 11 of us that got season tickets all at the same time. So really do enjoy coming down to Sutton.
Excellent. So you are one of the lucky so-and-sos that I often refer to. I've been supporting Sutton for the lovely last few years where everything has kind of gone perfectly for us. What made you first come down?
One of the guys at bowling, Wellesley, he used to come down with one of my old coaches, and just literally we'll get on the train from the bowl up to Wimbledon to West Sutton, and I think I come to a couple of Surrey Senior Cup games to start with, then a couple of league games. I was also trying to get my dad back into football as well. He used to be a Liverpool season ticket holder, so it was a good route back to sort of have a bit of fatherly son time as well. And I just really enjoyed it. It's such a good club, got a real family feel to it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something I've sort of been mentioning all the way through. People tend to come, like it, and just keep coming back slowly, and then before they know it, they've been suddenly saying, I've been supporting for 4 years. How did that happen?
Yeah.
But you mentioned the Surrey Senior Cup games. You're going to get some very good friends if you started off with the Surrey Senior Cup. There's some real diehards who love it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just getting into non-league football is just completely different to go into, say, like your Premier League game, and it's just such a good atmosphere. I just love it.
You're valued as a supporter.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely how I feel.
Yeah, you count, and if your views count, and you being there really makes a difference. When in the Premier League, if you're not there, it's all right. There's another 20,000 people who want to take your place anyway. And it's also, do you pop into the bar afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, I've started playing darts sort of before games. Not really after the game. I seem to sort of leave, but I'm definitely trying to get there before kick-off, speaking to a lot more people, and yeah, just...
That's one of the things I've often tried to explain to people, the bizarreness of you're in the bar and the players are just wandering through, and you can get to say hi, and you're like looking and hang on a minute, well, that's not right, you shouldn't be here. But it's just that again, that friendly atmosphere. You're on Twitter, and you engage with some of the players on there as well, do you? Yeah,
a little bit. I mean, some after games, I think. I mean, Louis John's quite good on social media. A couple of other players, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, they're all very, very approachable. It's
yeah.
I mean, when you think that we are literally one division below Football League, it is mad how sort of friendly and approachable everyone is at the club.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I mean, the Arsenal game in the FA Cup, I mean, I'm in the bar and Nicky Bailey walks up to the bar.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm guessing someone else bought him a drink.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, so you had the lovely Conference South winning season, where we had that great run where we just sort of reeled back in Ebbsfleet, which you would have been a very new supporter then. Was a bit of disbelief on that as well, where you didn't really think it was going to happen?
To be honest, there was I think it was 2 games before that, probably one of the best games of football I've ever been to. The away game at Maidstone.
Yeah.
When we went 2-0 up, and I think it was... who was it? Amankwa got sent off after 20 minutes, and we defended the whole game.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the turning.
That was the game that I think that really got our season going towards the end, and I just couldn't see us not winning it.
Yeah, it was a definite. They had won. I think it was November, December time. They had won the league. They were so far ahead of everyone.
Yeah,
we were way back, and they kind of just poodled along, and we were out of it, and just literally just kept winning games. And it was like, the gap's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And oh, hang on a minute, that's not right. We've overtaken them.
Yeah. That was definitely, that game was just epic against Ebbsfleet at the end of the season.
Yes. Yeah, nice big crowd, really, really good atmosphere on that one. That was a really, really good game. And then obviously last year we had the amazing but stupid cup run. Oh. Again, disbelief. Did you go to the Dartford game? Because that was... I went to every single game, from Forest Green at home in the fourth round of qualifying to the Arsenal game. Literally every game. Well, as the draw was made with Forest Green, I've said quite a few times, we were out, that's it. The Forest Green were doing really, really well. Oh, well, cup runs for another season. Let's concentrate staying on the league. I tend to stand on that little curved bank, but I was kind of leaving. I was a bit fed up and was wandering off. And the next thing, that Rory scored that last minute winner. So I ended up standing behind the goal, just to the left of the goal for the whole rest of the cup run, because I was like, no, that's it now. I've got to stay here. This is the lucky spot for the FA Cup. I'll tell you what, my brother for a period, so my brother had probably been to, well, basically, ever since he'd started coming, Sutton have never lost. Oh, beautiful. Until the Arsenal game, which is disappointing, obviously, but obviously being Arsenal. But yeah, it was crazy. We had to bring him along. We had to get him a ticket. Yeah, I mean, that was a bit of a nightmare, the tickets. I don't necessarily want to hop on bad things, but Bruce had quite blatantly said that was one of the big mistakes they made last year. And I just remember turning up in the queue, because I waited for the Leeds one early, and then there were loads of tickets left. And I thought, why was I waiting so early? So I turned up for the Arsenal one quite late in the day, thinking there's going to be loads of tickets left. And the message was coming down the queue going, there might not be any left. And I was desperate, because I've been supporting Sutton for years, but I didn't actually get to the Coventry game all those years ago.
Oh, okay.
I thought, I cannot miss out on getting to this one. But luckily I got a ticket, and it was all good. But amazing cup run again. And then this year, up until the last couple of weeks, has been, again, really bizarre. I mean, periods at the top of the league. How do you think this season's gone?
To be honest, massively overachieved, but we've deserved it. We've played really good football.
Yeah.
We've gone out to beat teams, and we look, I mean, I think Aldershot were one of the favourites at the start of the season, and I was at the game at Aldershot, the away game, and we absolutely played them off the park. It was probably two individual errors that cost us goals, and to be fair, their first goal was a really good finish, but even Aldershot fans after the game were like, you're the best team we've played this season so far. Absolutely played us off our park.
Yeah, it's been great. There's been points of like that, then there's been points of just grinding it out. Unfortunately, there's also been the Leyton Orients and the Bromleys. There's no getting away from some of those games. The Bromley game was just really bizarre. Everyone was off. It wasn't just the players. It was a bit of a subdued atmosphere.
Yeah.
On everyone. I'm not one of the singers. I'm not going to ever criticise anyone for singing, not singing, or anything like that, because I'm not one of the singers. But it was just not the singing side. Just everyone was just a little bit waiting for something to happen. Flat. Yeah. I mean, obviously everyone's entitled to their opinion. At the start of the season, there was like your Dundas and your Lafayette, and we were playing up to the big two, and we really were hurting teams. And then we sort of reverted to Tommy Wright, and he got a lot of goals, and that's when we were sort of top of the league, knocking around, really sort of scoring goals. But I feel the last, say, 4 or 5 games, obviously Byron Harrison's been a real breath of fresh air. We haven't really had a striker brought in that's come in and made an impact straight away. Mm-hmm. If you see where I'm coming from. Yeah.
Obviously, Brice Dixon, Adam Coombs, all them sort of Matt Tubbs, them goal scorers that we've bought or brought in haven't really worked. But I think Byron Harrison's been a real breath of fresh air. I mean, hopefully he'll stay for next season.
Yeah, I think from reading between the lines and the comments, I think that's almost done, that he's going to be here next season. But yeah, we've got some big players. You've got obviously Byron, you've got Tom, you've got Harry Buterman, and Tommy should be playing a slightly higher level, I should imagine.
Yeah.
I would hope he's staying with us for just that one more season at least.
Tommy Wright, do you know what? He has, I believe, I think it was February, or he did sign a deal till 2020. Yeah,
I think he's got the contracts. I think we've been hurt a little bit by certain players on contracts.
I see.
For example, Rory, I genuinely thought he was on a 2-year deal last year, and I was really surprised it was only a 1-year deal. I'm not saying hurt as in let down. It's just when you've got the chance and you're saying, well, actually, we know this player's going to do well, I think we probably get the contract sorted out, especially now we've got a little bit of cash around. But yes, so we had Bromley. We kind of like, okay, let's put that behind us. Then we had I'd said from a few weeks ago the Bromley game was obviously going to be a difficult one, but then we had Fylde away, which nice easy game for teams looking for some points. But hearing it and watching the highlights, we absolutely murdered them in I think it was the first half.
Yeah, first half was excellent, apparently.
Yeah, just absolutely murdered them, and good old Grandpa Simon Downer didn't give their top man a sniff all game until one little slip up, and he was in, scored the winning goal.
Yeah.
So a bit of a kick in the teeth there for us. But again, you kind of were thinking, well, that was always going to be a difficult game. The Halifax one, though, again, hard to take. Probably should have done better there. But it was, again, a little mistake at the end. Cost us, well, a point. But you would have hoped that we would have got 3 from that game if you were just looking at it on paper. So we're officially in a slump.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I think, I'm hoping, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, of course. I'm really hoping the team come out and really have a good go at it.
Yeah, I would hope so. I'm kind of hoping Hartlepool are on holiday a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I think they're safe now.
Yeah, I should imagine they're safe. Hopefully, they do. As I say, they just don't turn up too much. Yeah. Get a chance to run up a few goals. But then again, I would take a nice 1-0 in the first minute and then bore everyone to death to just get things back on track. Because looking at the rest of the games, we've got Maidenhead as well away, Ebbsfleet away, and then a big game, Aldershot at home.
Aldershot at home, yeah. That's going to be a cracker.
It is. I mean, it's been, I don't know if you've seen it this week, it's been announced it's all ticket. Tickets in advance, which people are struggling to remember the last league game we've had to have that. So hopefully a nice big league crowd for that. But I'm looking and thinking, well, we're on 72 points. There's 4 games left. I think Tranmere could get to 88 because they got 5 games left. Aldershot could get to 83, but Aldershot have got both Tranmere and us to play. So you never know, and Fylde can get to 80. So we can get to 84 if we win all of our games, which at the moment is a tough one. Because as I say, Ebbsfleet aren't going to want to do us any favours, especially after what happened a couple of years ago. And Aldershot are going to be gunning for that second, third place as well. Yeah. What's your thoughts? Where do you think we're going to finish?
Hopefully in the top 3. Well, second or third anyway. I think Fylde are going to be really, really strong towards the end. Tranmere, I'm not sure about. They had a really bad start. They've come on a little bit now, but if I'm honest, if we don't win, obviously Macclesfield, they've been class over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Probably deserved it as well. Really ground out the results. But a trip to Wembley, I think that's in everyone's diaries at the moment. Playoff final.
It would take an absolute disaster for them not to do it. I think they've done it all bar. I think just on shouting. I think their goal difference is better than Tranmere's. I think Tranmere, they've got 88 points already, so just 1 point they've got it sewn up. Fylde would be difficult, but Tranmere obviously they look favourites for that second spot, but actually they've still got Dover who have got playoff hopes themselves. They've got Aldershot as well, and they've got Solihull Moors who have been doing amazingly well recently. So it's not a guaranteed they're going to get all those points, and we could still nip the second as well, which would be a big advantage because you get the home dressing room, I think, at Wembley if you're second.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I think so. Well, I'm sure.
I think any dressing room at Wembley there take, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's looking good. It's looking very exciting. Is your brother coming along to any of the games now, especially if he gets the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, he was at the Bromley game, so maybe I'll keep him at home this weekend.
Yeah, maybe it's just a cup thing. Yeah.
Honestly, it was crazy. It must have gone on for about 12 to 13 games throughout that season.
Excellent. That's a marvellous stat. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's looking good for the season. I've sort of maintained that had this, in quote, slump happened earlier in the season or mid-season, it wouldn't have been such a disaster for people because we didn't really expect to be anywhere near this position.
No way.
Happened at the end of the season, a long, hard season where tired legs have come in. But really, looking at the season as a whole, I think Doswell always says you deserve to finish where you finish. I don't think there can be anyone really complaining, truthfully.
I mean, yeah, no one can. No one can complain. I think the players have done themselves proud. I think the fans that go to every game really do themselves proud, travel sort of all around the country. And at the end, it's just on an upward curve.
Yeah, of course. But
the only thing that's holding us back a little bit would be obviously the pitch. But I think Doz has got it spot on with the whole community feel to the club. It's just it works.
Yeah, it does. It is a definite community thing. And one thing I've said to a few people over the different interviews is one of the things that made me really, really proud as a Sutton fan is when this whole thing came up of we'd have to lose the pitch, people weren't just saying, oh, well, let's get on with it. It was a lot of people were interested in what's happening to the academy teams, what's going to happen to the ladies team, what's happening to community teams if we can't have this pitch. And it was people's real concern of, well, what's happening to this community model? Not just, oh, well, never mind, it's the first team only. And that really made me proud as a Sutton fan of people are thinking about the club as a whole, not just a few different people on it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
There is plans in place. Bruce kind of indicated that Doswell maybe jumped the gun a little bit tweeting about the plans because he said they're changing all the time. We're coming up with different options all the time. So they've got various plans apparently. So we're all fine. I again, fairly conservative person, and I like as you say, the upward curve, but it's a small curve. It's a slow curve. We're plodding along nicely. We're never going to our means.
I mean, if we can establish ourselves as a fifth-tier club if we can stay up for 5, 6, 7 seasons, I feel we could be in a place then to, if we wanted to, push on.
Yeah, expectations will be definitely raised at that point. I mean, the examples of the live within our means, is obviously you can see the examples of Kingston was ahead of us for a good few years when they're spending loads of money, and now they've got no ground and they're struggling. And Woking just recently they've announced a deal with a property development company taking over their stadium. So obviously everyone's expecting that to go just as well as the whole Dulwich thing as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said for actually let's just slow it down a little bit. Let's just live with what we've got, plan for what we can afford, and then see what happens from there.
Yeah, I think that is Doz's ultimate aim was to be an established National League side. So, I mean, to do what we've done this season, just credits to everyone.
I think the words they used was the best non-league team we can be.
Yeah.
And actually this season, barring an absolute disaster, we're going to finish in the highest position we've ever finished in the football pyramid, no matter what.
Yeah.
So last year we had the best FA Cup run we've ever had. This year we're going to have the best league run we've ever had. So definitely not living in the past. It's definitely we're living in the future, or we're living in the now rather. But other important question, there's been questions and things said about the game this weekend. Will you be turning up in Speedos and goggles?
I will not be turning up in Speedos and goggles.
I'm reading these things going, who the hell is thinking that we're going to turn up in Speedos and goggles? What's that all about? Yes, neither will I be turning up in Speedos and goggles, I can assure you. Okay. Well, thank you very, very much.
You're very welcome.
I will see you tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's been lovely talking, and yes, hope for 3 points tomorrow.
Yes, thanks once again, Steve, and hopefully we do get those 3 points that we want, Speedos or not. Next up, we have DS4, who've played many times at our Boom Boom Club, and this is called Little Rock and Roll.
When you were 10 months old, arms, you were good as gold. My little baby girl, you were in my soul. A tiny shining star, a good, good girl. Welcome to the show, my little rock and roll. Saw the Christmas lights. The snow was falling down, the world turned white, and you came onto the phone. I heard you say, we wish you joy, it's a boy. Welcome to the show, my little rock and roll. Flew across the sea to a land of make-believe. Mickey held your hands. There was blossom in the trees. We saw the circus show. The world began to grow, and so it goes. All those years ago, rock and roll. Welcome to the show, my little rock and roll. My little rock and roll. My little rock and roll. My little rock and roll.
That that was the new single from DS4, which was released just yesterday. Their new album is launched in May, and they have a launch show on the 14th at the Social, which is in Little Portland Street. More information is on their Twitter account, which is at DS4 London. Now for my second guest. Okay, so now joining us is Chris Horton, who is one of our wonderful army of volunteers. Chris, you do the stewarding of the tunnel area, I believe.
That's correct, yes. Yeah, I've been doing that for nearly 4 years now. So yeah, it's been interesting. I kind of started with Gosport Borough. It's kind of about 500, 600 or so people, and and it's increased a bit since then.
Absolutely. So is it something that straight away it was like you're going on to doing the stewarding? Is it you did other little different things beforehand? How did you end up with that gig?
How did I end up with that? It's my wife's fault. She was writing a novel and wanted me to do something that wasn't moping around the house of an afternoon, and because I was already sort of regularly going up to Sutton, so I had a chat with Mr. Fairbrother, and one thing very quickly led to another, and I was kind of in the tunnel before I knew what was happening.
Before you could say no and form any reasons not to.
Yeah. So the novel has been long written, but I am still attending and regularly stewarding. So it's
excellent.
It's great. I mean, there are some times where I don't see that much of the game. Like, for example, Leeds United match, I saw JC's goal on TV because I was guarding the door to the tunnel. So
right.
I heard a roar in the bar, ran over, saw it, hugged a random lady. I asked for permission first because I'm a gentleman, but still it was. Yeah, and I missed both of the goals that Arsenal scored, but so they don't count.
No, absolutely not. I think we'd have to put that as one of the lessons to Bruce and so on for next time this happens. Get one of the paid staff to do the back office ones.
Oh no! To be fair, I mean, those were busy days. It was all hands to the pump. For the vast majority of matches, I'm able to see everything, and one of the great things about it as well is that I often have kind of like interactions with the players and sort of the management and stuff. So,
well, you're also one of the few people who's allowed to stand in that area, aren't you?
People are allowed to stand. It's just kind of like not when we're going to be not when people are kind of coming off.
So, did you do any of the other volunteering? Because I've done a bit of the gate ticket thing. Obviously, way back when it was a lot smaller crowds.
Yeah, I have done since in a oh, you're here early. Do you mind doing this? Like, oh, okay, fine, fair enough. So and I also operated the gate for the England C game. So which that was kind of cool. Sort of being on turnstiles for an England match.
Yeah, excellent.
I enjoyed that, and also because that match was free, I wasn't having to do any maths. It was like you come in, fair enough.
So, what does a typical match day? What goes on a normal match day for you? When do you kind of arrive and whatnot?
Okay, so I think arrangements may be changing for next year, and I don't know anything about that as to exactly what. I just know there are changes afoot. But typically I arrive about 1-ish, so some of the other stewards arrive slightly later, and so I'm kind of making sure that the tunnel is sterile, which is a technical term for not letting people up and down it that are not the players or the refs before the match, because we can sometimes get into discussions with the authorities if the ref feels that sort of they or their officials are interacting a little bit too much with the public.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just making sure as well that the players can kind of get up okay, and and then sort of open up the tunnel for sort of like when the game starts, and often as well we kind of like take it in turns sort of regarding things like the tunnel door as well, and just sort of making sure that the players can kind of go in there and get their stuff.
Okay.
It's fun. There's often quite a bit of running around because often as well I kind of go and fetch if people kind of send some balls onto Boswell Hill. Then if it's a non-segregated match, then I may kind of wander over there and grab a football or two. So yeah, if you've seen a steward wandering around around there, that was probably me.
That's you.
Yeah. So and it can vary. I mean, yeah, as to sort of like the exact stuff. I mean, quite often I find myself kind of bringing a chair out for Doz because he likes to sit to the side sometimes of the dugout, and also kind of bringing chairs for kind of for people using the disabled enclosure. But it's good. There's quite a bit of variety, and you do have some interesting conversations. So I remember one time when I was during the Arsenal game, I was with a colleague, and we were kind of like unlocking the kind of the players' tunnel area, and just having a chat with this Arsenal guy. And so I was like, I bet it's not like this at Old Trafford. And then I realised that's Ray Parlour. But, yeah, there were quite a few moments like that night.
Yeah, very, very strange that night.
Yeah, because at one time I was just fairly early on in proceedings. I saw there were a whole load of photographers taking photos kind of like of me, and I thought, no, what's happening behind me? And I turned around and I saw Arsene Wenger just kind of looking sort of with a slight air of trepidation. I thought, yeah, I'm not the story here.
But I'm in the papers.
Fortunately, I haven't been. So some of my colleagues have been in the papers. So some of the photos of Wayne
Yes.
have had colleagues.
Yeah, I think I've seen Lyle.
Yes.
Yeah, Lyle's in quite a few of them actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any interesting bribes for people asking to be allowed through to get to the bar a little bit quicker?
Somebody did try to kind of slip me some cash during one of the FA Cup matches. I was like, yeah, no. I think it was as a tip, as like, oh, well done you for doing a good job, I think. But I was just like, no, I'm not going to let this enter any kind of complicated thing. We also have as well kind of, occasionally people unfamiliar with the ground trying to kind of take alcohol out and like, folks, you need to, to kind of go and drink it in the bar, and it's like, well, it's not. And they say it's non-league. It's like, it may well be non-league, certainly at the moment, but yeah, you can't drink it inside the pitch.
Those days are gone. We used to be able to do that, but I think they stopped a few years ago in the Conference South.
Yes. So apart from Oxford City, but they're a special bunch of them.
Yeah. So what you find, obviously, with people doing volunteering, because I almost did the thing myself. Do you find they tend to do various different volunteering? Do you volunteer anywhere else? Do you do anything else?
I do. I'm the I'm secretary of a local running club, Sutton Runners. So I lead a team of volunteers at the marathon. So at the London Marathon. So we're in charge of pedestrian crossing, which is that's a fun mix of runners and pedestrians.
Oh, okay.
That's good. Yeah. So basically have to cordon off a bit of the road and get the pedestrians across who are surprised that one of the world's largest marathons is happening. Get them into a place of security, and then kind of let the runners go the other side of them. It's fun, it's complicated, and I take the day off work after it because
I should imagine so.
It's a long day, and the first time I did it was the day after we'd beaten. Was it the day after we'd beaten FC, or was it the day after we'd won the title? I can't remember. But certainly, I was operating on not a lot of sleep.
Because that's coming up. That's the anniversary of that one. I saw that on my Facebook. Is this? I think it's this sort of weekend or so, a few days' time.
Yeah.
It was. Well, you can keep a little eye out and keep a check on our Nick the Greek, Paul Austin.
Yes.
He's doing the marathon as well.
Yeah. I've been having quite a few chats with him as well because I've seen him around various other running type things.
Yeah.
And speaking of running things, if I get a little plug, we've got my club putting on the Sutton 10K at Non-Touch Park on Sunday, the May the 20th. So do please have a kind of a quick Google for that if you're interested in running. It's a lovely course, and so it's kind of 2 laps around Non-Touch Park, and there are a few finer places to go for a run.
Well, is one of those finer places Brighton by any chance?
Yes. So on Sunday I'm doing the Brighton Marathon.
Is that the hilly one? That's quite hilly, isn't it? The Brighton one.
There's bits of hills. I don't think it's too. You're not going over the down.
Right, I just remember someone telling me ages ago they hated it because of something to do with hills. I'm clearly not a runner. I wasn't paying any attention at all. I was just nodding, smiling, going, "Oh right, okay."
Yeah, I gather it starts off on a bit of an incline, but yeah, it should be okay. I spent my childhood in the West Country, so which is certainly in Devon, which is not flat. So I'm kind of used to kind of like running up inclines. So hopefully Brighton should be all right. But
well,
you never know.
You never know. But you're doing you set up a sponsorship page as well. I know you put it around the planet.
I did.
I'll stick it on the blog post. But if you know it, do you want to just give it a quick shout now? If you don't know it, don't worry.
I'm scared that I'll get it wrong.
Don't worry, it'll be on the blog post. So if anyone wants to find it, then it's on there, and it's also on Amber Planet, as you know. Of course, you know you put it on there. So
yes, and I'm doing it for Mind, the mental health charity. So so if anybody's feeling generous, then it'll be all greatly appreciated.
Excellent. Well, I hope that goes well. But that means then I'm
not stewarding tomorrow.
You're not stewarding tomorrow. My timing is wonderful on these. I think I interviewed Steve earlier, and I was trying to talk to him about the last couple of matches, and he hadn't gone to either of the Weymouth games, and now I'm talking to you about talk me through a typical game about like against Hartlepool. Yeah, I'll be at home.
I mean, one of the things I really do love is going to the away games. I don't do that too often, but when I do, I'm able to actually just relax and enjoy. There are still some times where I go like, oh, that steward is possibly not in position. But yeah, if anybody wants, I mean, we're always very keen to have more volunteers. I mean, there are so many different ways that if you wish, if you want to, you can kind of like help the club. So if stewarding doesn't feel to be your thing, or you think there are other ways, just kind of come over and sort of have a chat with any of the club officials, and I'm sure people will be kind of like be all too happy to sort of find something for you to do, because we are a club built on volunteers.
That's the message from Bruce downwards. Obviously Bruce is a volunteer himself, and technically so is Doz, really. So everyone does a little bit, especially to some of the newer fans who might not realise there's always summer working parties, so they're always keen for people to come down. So if you don't like that kind of thing, I'd suggest you avoid going to Green Lane entirely in the summer, because you'll have something shoved in your hand or get some list of jobs to do. But if you're anyway interested, as Chris has just pop down to the club, or would guess Dave would be the best.
Rambo, though, if you speak to any of the stewards in the tunnel, but also, I mean, as well, I would say anybody in a kind of a suit with one of the Sutton ties, and sort of say, hello, I want to be a volunteer. I'm sure that they will point you to somebody that will be able to help you. So going on to the painting thing as well, or just kind of like helping around the club, and sort of, because after my first kind of year stewarding, which was the season of not much success at all, when we finished like 14th or 15th in the Conference South, and kind of like and everybody was saying we'll get better, I was like, I hope we will, but I was kind of doing a kind of like a sort of a worker bee thing. And ended up painting the referee's changing room, which was nice, and I don't know how well known this fact is, but there's a plaque in the referee's changing room saying that the I think it's the Sutton Referees Association welcomes you and hopes you have a good game.
Oh, right.
I don't know how many people are in the Sutton Referees Association. It might be there's a huge body of people. So it sort of raised a smile. And yeah, it's quite a small plaque, so I don't know how often the referees and stuff notice it. But yeah, I mean, and it's been amazing as well to kind of like changes because I help as well in the kind of away dressing room, sort of, and also just looking at how much the home dressing room has changed. Sort of over time. It's just absolutely incredible. So, but yeah, any way that anybody feels that they can kind of help. I mean, like one beautiful summer's evening, I was wandering around pulling weeds with a few other people. But yeah, and it's good because like you get to meet people and have kind of like nice conversations with folk, and like often if I'm wandering up Sutton High Street, people will kind of come to me and say, "Oh, you're a steward." I'm like, yes, I am. I'm not stewarding now.
No, I'm Chris. What's wrong with you?
Yes,
I'm not a steward at all.
Yes, and I was doing a kind of like a training run around Nonsuch Park, and the gentleman sort of said, "Oh, steward," and I was like, Yes, running now. I cannot meet your stewarding needs.
Well, as you say, that's a testament to what's happened to the club in the last few years, from fans of like 500-600 to regularly hitting the 2,000 mark.
Yeah.
Bringing us on very nicely to what no one's quite remembering any other league game being all ticket towards the last game of the season.
Yes.
Obviously, we've had some cup games last year, but it's throwing us out a little bit with this league game being all ticket.
It's somewhat amazing, isn't it? I mean, I've got some friends of mine who are kind of like wanting to come along, and who sort of they're not season ticket holders. Though one of them, every match that he has been to, Sutton has won, apart from one of the FA Cup games, guess which one, which we were never going to win, and the Bromley one where he brought his girlfriend along for the first time. So I was like, oh, okay. I kind of hope she's a lovely woman and stuff, and I was like, I hope that she's not a bad luck charm.
Funny enough, I spoke to Steve earlier, and he mentioned he brought his brother along to all the FA Cup matches last year, and a few other games, and he said there was about 13 games throughout the season that he came to, and we won every single one of them. He said, and then it was the Arsenal game. And I was like, right, you need to make sure he comes again. He went, yeah, I'm not sure about that because I think the only game he's been to this year is Bromley. And I'm like, right, no more league games for your brother. Cup games only from now on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. And
thank you.
Thank you for the advice you've given me as well, because what people might not realise is you podcast as well yourself.
Yes, I do. Yeah. I do. It's somewhat geeky, somewhat niche. It's the All New Adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. So called because some other people did it, and they decided to disband and sort of said something on Twitter to say, "Oh, does anybody else just want to take our format?" Because it's just two people talking about Doctor Who books. Well, it's been going for a year. Yeah, if you're remotely inclined, then do come and have a listen. And if you want to appear on the program, we can even have a live guest.
Oh, excellent! Well, do you know what? There is someone who I know would be interested in it. They're not a Sutton fan, so I will tell them separately.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, there are quite a few there's various different geek elements of being a Sutton fan. It's quite a lot of bus fans elsewhere. So you'll see that on the forum, whether you have or not. And there's various things about buses, which does throw you at first, but you know what? We're a strange bunch, but
we're a lovely bunch.
We are indeed. That's what makes us lovely. Strange, but we know we are.
Yeah. I remember one time when I was kind of meeting one of the professional stewards for the first time, because we do have quite a few professional stewards helping us. Just because we don't have that many volunteer stewards, so particularly we're getting the numbers we've been getting. And the guy said, "Where's your hooligan element? Who's your hooligan element?" And I went, "Yeah, we don't have one." And he sort of looked at me and sort of, look, it might sound like I'm being very naive. We don't have one. And I was like, yeah, you weren't kidding, were you? And we are incredibly lucky in that we have, we've got a good fan base, and people, and people are good and friendly, and people just they're kind of like want to help and stuff. So it's good.
There's a lot of self-policing.
There is.
Yeah. Sometimes you realise that you're arguing about ridiculous things with different people. One of the things, obviously, you've seen back and forth, I'm sure. I think it's the whole "we hate Bromley" thing. There's been lots of conversations about that. It's just sometimes when you're doing it, you're like, hang on. There's all these other clubs arguing about people invading the pitch and causing all these troubles, and we're arguing whether we actually hate Bromley or not. So it is good, really. If that's the biggest worry we have, it is actually really good. These are the silly things we get worked up about. But there's a lot of self-policing, and it's a great place for, especially with the season ticket thing with teenagers.
Yes.
It's mad they can come to the football for such a cheap price, and generally people are quite happy for you to be there, come along, make a lot of noise and scream and shout as much as you like, get it all out of your system.
It's brilliant, because also, I remember as well when I started, it wasn't quite like the Library of Highbury, but it was often quite quiet, and so sometimes there are some games where you have kind of like a bit of a quiet atmosphere, but for the most part, we're not a quiet fan base anymore.
No, Bromley game I've discussed again. Sorry to everyone listening to the whole thing. It's boring. Bromley game.
Let's not talk about Bromley.
It was the flat from everyone, and as I said earlier on, it's not me saying the people weren't singing, because I don't sing. I never have, never joined in. I'm very just quiet, but it was just flat for everyone. But that's extremely rare now. It's usually, there's normally quite a lot going on elsewhere. And as always, full credit to the guys keeping it going. And they're a friendly bunch as well. So as well as if you want to join in, Stuart, and if you want to join in with the guys behind the goal, just go and say hello to them. They're a nice, friendly bunch.
Yeah.
Don't be scared of them. They don't bite on Saturdays.
No.
Yeah, other days you never know. Okay. Thank you very, very much, Chris. We won't see you tomorrow, but good luck on Sunday.
Yes, fair enough. Thank you.
And on May the 20th as well, the 10K at Nonsuch.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much. Always a pleasure talking to someone who is clearly so enthusiastic about what they do. Thank you very much for that chat, Chris. And if you want to sponsor Chris, please go to the website, which is www.suttonpodcast.co.uk. Head to the blog post and the link will be on there. Or as mentioned, it is on Amber Planet. Hopefully our little recruitment drive does well, and if anyone is interested, please contact anyone at the club, and they will obviously give you guidelines on how to get in touch with volunteering. Closing the show today is a song called Punk Rock Revolution, and it's by Concrete Caverns. Their website is www.concretecaverns.com. All the information again will be on the blog post which accompanies the episode. Good luck to the boys today. Hopefully we'll get the 3 points and start to secure this playoff place that we're so desperately hoping for. And take care. Thanks for listening. Speak to you next week. Bye bye.
revolution. Who is gonna come up with a new solution? We all need a punk rock revolution. Who is gonna come up with a new solution? Oh, it's all been done before. United!